At night, the surface of the ocean can appear almost perfectly still. Small waves rise and fall beneath the stars. Moonlight stretches across the water. And below that moving surface lies a world deeper, darker, and larger than anything we experience on land. Tonight, we're going to visit it. We'll leave the moonlit surface, descend through the ocean's fading light, past creatures that make their own illumination, and eventually arrive at the deepest known place on Earth. Welcome to Big Steve's Quiet Curiosity, a place for interesting stories told slowly. Let's begin our descent. At the surface, the ocean is filled with light. During the day, microscopic organisms called phytoplankton use sunlight to produce energy. These tiny drifting forms of life support much of the ocean's food web. Fish move beneath the waves. Seabirds search from above. And in warm waters, sunlight reveals entire landscapes of coral, sand, and stone. But light does not travel through seawater as easily as it travels through air. As we begin moving downward, the colors around us slowly change. Red is the first familiar color to fade, then orange, then yellow. The water becomes an increasingly deep shade of blue because blue light can travel farther through it than most other visible wavelengths. Above us, the surface now resembles a bright, moving ceiling. Below us, the ocean appears endless. At approximately 200 meters, or about 650 feet, we leave the sunlit surface layer and enter the ocean's twilight zone. Here, sunlight is faint. It is too weak for photosynthesis, but it has not disappeared completely. Looking upward, we can still detect a dim blue glow. Looking downward, there is darkness. The twilight zone extends to roughly 1,000 meters below the surface. It is home to lanternfish, bristlemouths, hatchetfish, squid, jelly-like animals, and countless tiny drifting creatures. Many have large, sensitive eyes that gather every available trace of light. Others use a clever form of camouflage called counter-illumination. An animal swimming in open water can create a dark silhouette when viewed from above. To hide that outline, some species produce light along the undersides of their bodies. The glow is adjusted to resemble the faint illumination coming from the surface. From beneath, predator and prey become difficult to distinguish against the water above. In this environment, light is not simply used for seeing. It can become a disguise. Although the twilight zone seems distant and isolated, many of its inhabitants travel toward the surface every night. As daylight fades, vast numbers of small fish and drifting animals begin swimming upward. They rise hundreds of meters to feed in the productive waters near the surface, protected by darkness from many visual predators. Before sunrise, they descend again. This daily journey is known as diel vertical migration. It is believed to be the largest regular animal migration on Earth, measured by the number of creatures participating. Yet, it takes place almost entirely beyond human sight. Every evening, while the stars appear above the ocean, an immense living community quietly rises from below. Every morning, it sinks back into the blue. We continue downward. At 1,000 meters, about 3,300 feet, the final trace of sunlight disappears. We have entered the midnight zone. No sunrise has ever reached this water. The sun, moon, and stars are now completely invisible. If we switched off our submersible's lights, the darkness would be total. But the ocean has created lights of its own. A tiny blue flash appears ahead. Then another. For a moment, a transparent animal glows like a constellation suspended in the water. This is bioluminescence, light produced through a chemical reaction inside a living organism. Bioluminescence is extremely common in the deep ocean. Jellyfish, squid, crustaceans, worms, sharks, and many species of fish can produce some form of living light. Most marine bioluminescence is blue or blue-green because those colors travel especially well through seawater. Animals use their lights in different ways. A glowing pattern may help individuals recognize potential mates. A sudden flash can startle a predator. Some animals release a luminous cloud into the water, creating a glowing distraction while they escape. Others use light as a lure. The deep-sea anglerfish carries one of the best-known examples. A small glowing structure hangs near its mouth. In the darkness, curious prey may approach the light without seeing the waiting fish behind it. To us, bioluminescence looks almost magical. But down here it is practical. It is a language, a disguise, a warning, and occasionally an invitation. The water around us now is very cold, often only a few degrees above freezing. The pressure has also increased. For roughly every 10 meters we descend, another atmosphere of pressure is added by the water above. At 1,000 meters, every exposed surface experiences pressure roughly 100 times greater than at sea level. Deep-sea animals survive because much of their bodies is made of water and soft tissue, leaving fewer air-filled spaces to collapse. Their shapes can seem unusual to us. Some have delicate, nearly transparent bodies. Some possess enormous mouths and expandable stomachs, allowing them to take advantage of a rare meal. Others have reduced eyes, or no functional eyes at all. In a place where food may be scarce and widely scattered, energy must be used carefully. Life often moves slowly. From far above, small particles constantly drift downward. Fragments of plankton, tiny pieces of organic material, waste from animals living nearer the surface. Together, these falling particles are known as marine snow. The name sounds peaceful, and the sight can be beautiful. In the lights of a submersible, marine snow resembles a gentle storm of pale flakes. The particles may take weeks to reach the deep seafloor. Along the way, they feed countless animals and microorganisms. Only a small portion of the organic material produced near the surface makes it all the way down. But in the deep ocean, even a slow fall of tiny particles can support life. Occasionally, something much larger arrives. When the body of a whale sinks to the seafloor, it creates what scientists call a whale fall. For years, and sometimes decades, it can provide food and habitat for an entire community. First come scavengers. Later, smaller animals and microorganisms use the remaining bones and the chemical-rich environment around them. In a place where meals are unpredictable, the arrival of a whale can transform an empty patch of seafloor into a temporary oasis. At approximately 4,000 meters, we enter the abyssal zone. The word abyss suggests a bottomless emptiness. But the abyss has a floor. Much of it is a broad plain covered by fine sediment. The landscape is quiet, cold, and almost completely dark. Sea cucumbers move slowly across the bottom, gathering edible material from the sediment. Brittle stars extend thin arms. Sponges and corals grow on exposed rock. A small octopus may rest beside a stone, changing its color and texture as our lights pass over it. There may be long stretches where little seems to happen. But stillness is not the absence of life. It is simply life operating on a different schedule. In some parts of the deep seafloor, the landscape changes dramatically. Cracks in Earth's crust allow seawater to circulate downward, where it is heated by hot rock. The water returns carrying dissolved minerals and emerges through structures called hydrothermal vents. Dark mineral-rich fluid rises into the sea. Around certain vents, entire communities exist without depending directly on sunlight. Microorganisms use chemical energy to create food through a process called chemosynthesis. Tube worms, clams, shrimp, crabs, and other animals may gather around them. Beyond the reach of the sun, life has found another source of energy. The vents remind us that the deep ocean is not simply a cold, empty basin. It is part of a living planet, connected to heat and chemistry beneath Earth's crust. Now we approach the edge of an ocean trench. The flat seafloor slopes downward. Walls rise on either side of us. Beyond 6,000 meters, we enter the Hadal zone. The name comes from Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. Most of this zone exists inside long, narrow trenches formed where sections of Earth's crust meet. These are some of the least explored habitats on our planet. The pressure is immense. Food is limited. Yet animals still live here. Small crustaceans called amphipods move across the sediment. Sea cucumbers feed on organic material that has fallen from above. Microorganisms survive within the mud. And Hadal snailfish have been filmed at depths greater than 8,000 meters, far below the range of any other confirmed living fish. Eventually, even fish seem to reach a physiological limit. Below them, the deepest communities discovered so far are made up primarily of invertebrates and microorganisms. Life becomes less familiar, but it does not disappear. We continue toward the Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean. Within it lies Challenger Deep, the deepest known point in Earth's oceans. Its measured depth is approximately 10,935 meters. nearly 11 kilometers, almost 7 miles beneath the surface. If Mount Everest were placed at the bottom, its summit would still remain beneath the water. At this depth, the pressure is more than 1,000 times greater than the atmosphere at sea level. Every part of our imagined submersible must resist the weight of the water above. Outside, the seafloor is covered in pale sediment. There are no towering forests or waving fields of plants. There is no sunlight. Yet this is not a silent, disconnected world. Scientific instruments lowered into Challenger Deep have recorded earthquakes, whale calls, distant ships, storms at the surface, and the subtle sounds of the surrounding ocean. Even here, the deepest known place on Earth remains connected to the world above. A storm can pass over the Pacific, and its presence can be detected nearly 7 miles below. Our journey upward would take hours. We would rise through the Hadal trenches, cross the abyssal plain, and pass once again through the midnight zone. Bioluminescent creatures would flash beyond our windows. Marine snow would continue falling around us. In the twilight zone, migrating animals would begin another nightly journey. Then, far overhead, the black water would gradually become blue. A faint glow would return. The surface would appear once more as a moving silver ceiling. And eventually, we would rise into the night air beneath the stars. From the surface, the ocean would look just as it did before. Dark, calm, perhaps even empty. But now we would know what lies below. A world of daily migrations, living lights, falling nourishment, ancient seafloors, chemical oases, and creatures adapted to pressures almost beyond imagination. The deep ocean is not another planet. It is part of our own. A vast hidden wilderness beginning only a few hundred meters beneath the waves. Thank you for making this journey with me. This has been Big Steve's Quiet Curiosity. If you'd like another gentle story, you're welcome to subscribe. Until next time, stay curious and rest well.